Recording this. Yeah. So still now we discussed all the areas in the index side, but we did not discuss for the non-cluster index. Let me uh, discuss about the non-cluster index theoretically. Then we can close the session. Okay. What is the non-cluster index in SQL Server, and what is the use of non-cluster index in SQL Server? Why? I think it looks like continue with Google. What is non-cluster index in SQL Server, and what is the use of non-cluster index in SQL Server? Yeah. So here, non-cluster index, like when we discussed about the cluster index, what I mentioned, the clustered index, like maintain the structure, right? The index will maintain the structure. The definition of the index means like it's a kind of a structure to maintain the data for retrieval. For clustered index, what will happen? The structure uh, and the data will be in the same place. That means the pointer and data will be same place. But coming to the non-cluster index, what will happen? The structure will be one place and actual data will be to the another place. So that is the things. So a non-cluster index in the SQL Server is separate structure from the that actual data rows that helps speed up the data retrieval by pointing to the location. So the structure will be one place and data will be another place. If you go to the structure, that will provide the address of the data, so that it will fetch the data using the that pointer and it will provide the data. But if you go for cluster index, the pointer and actual data in the same uh, place. But non-cluster index, structure will be maintaining one place and data will be maintaining another place. So if you go for the structure, that will tell address of the location. It's kind of like a book only. So ah, so here in the non-cluster index, non-cluster index where the logical order of the index does not match the physical order of the data rows. So if you go for cluster index, so it's kind of like a physical order. The data and the data will be same, right? But coming to the here, why? Because it does not means the data structure will be there and it will point into the another things. So that is the reason logical order will be different and physical order will be different. So why? Because it has to point the data. So when we going for the pointer, the data will not be there, but it will tell where the data stored. So that is the thing. So non-cluster index is an index where the logical order of the index does not match the physical order of the data rows in the table. So, but if I tell the definition first, we'll get a confusion. But if you go for cluster index, like previously we see, right, the data and the index will be same. But here, non-cluster index, the data and index both are not in the same place. The index will be separate structure and separate page, and coming to the data will be different place. So it creates the BT structure. So BT structure like a index scan, right? So index scan It's kind of a B tree structure contain the key values from one more columns to point as the actual data. So the key value pointing to the one or more columns. So in the cluster index, we can use one column or more columns to create a index that key values pointing to the actual data. Cluster index, which is store the data rows in the order, like ascending order. Non-cluster index stored on the index columns. So non-cluster index, what will happen? It will store only the columns. Okay, that columns will tell where the actual data is stored. That is the one thing. So here, the clustered index, it will tell data to stored in the order. Non-cluster index stores only the index columns and the reference to the full of the row. So it is not storing the entire data full information, row information. It will tell the only that particular column. That particular column will tell where the data is stored. It's telling why use non-clusters. Yeah. So why the non-cluster index are used? Like we discussed B tree, the B tree it will go for no need to scan the entire root level, leaf level, mid level. It will go for mid level and it will get the data, right. So like that, it will go for no need to go for entire table scan. It will go for only that particular column and it will get the data. So this also like I have a kind of one front end page. In that front end page, if you click the button, okay, I need only two columns in the table. I don't want to enter data or some other things. What will happen if you mention those columns? So it will look for those columns and it will look for the filter and it will get the data. So fetching the data is very fast, non-clustered. So instead of the no index, if you maintain the column, it's no need to scan the entire table. It will scan only for the mid value ranges and it will get the data. So here the thing is like uh, in the one table we can create multiple non-cluster index. The non-cluster index value almost 999 indexes. Okay. So whereas cluster index we can create only one cluster index in the table, but in the non-cluster index we can create 999 clustered indexes. Okay. Uh, so this generally will go for like a order by group by classes. That time non-cluster index. What is telling? Class that are not part of the cluster index. So generally group by order by join classes. That time it will recommended to use clustered index. See non-cluster index. So just go through the difference. It will ask what is the cluster index and what is the non-cluster index and how many indexes we can create and how the data is stored. So the data is storing means like it won't store the data in the clustered index, non-clustered index pointers. The non-clustered index point is to the leaf nodes where the data is stored, and the table we can create 999 indexes, and in the non-clustered indexes it will go for B tree mechanism to fetch the data, and this is the for the non-clustered index. Okay, so one more thing is like a covering index. So the covering index means like I have the query. Okay, that query I'm having 10 columns. Okay, if I want to use all columns in the one index, that time we can create like a include while creating the index. So that index we can call like a covering index. What are the columns that are using in the particular query? If you want to create the index, then we can use include to cover the all the index. And if you create the covering index, the query should not be changed. Okay, the query always same. Then only it will help. So let me, what is the syntax for to creating the non-cluster index? The same syntax, create index non-cluster. Get me syntax, syntax for non-cluster index and covering index in SQL Server. So here previously we discussed like a cluster index. No need to mention the create cluster index. And let me see. I did not mention any keyword like a create cluster index, like create index name. See, if you see cluster index. Oh, I used it. Create cluster index. I'm telling create non-cluster index name. So instead of clustered, you can go for non-clustered. Then we have to go for index is the keyword. Then index name, table name, and column. Only thing is like the second column keyword, it will change it. Create non-clustered and index. This is the third keyword won't change. Fourth keyword won't change. That is the naming of the things. And on won't change. Table name won't change. At here, the column name. Column name only one or multiple. Okay. That is the clustered, non-clustered index. So if what is the covering index? Let me come on. Let me continue this session only. I don't want to go for one more. Yeah. This is the non-clustered index. What is the covering index? Yeah. So covering indexes, if you see the column include, okay, include, if you use include that index, we can call like a covering indexes. And what are the columns we are creating? These columns, uh, the query using. So creating the covering index, we need to be careful and we need to check with application team. We need to create. Why? Because if the query is changing dynamically, then covering index won't help. If the query is always the same query, then we can use covering indexes. The covering indexes, we can create the non-cluster index. Like a covering index is a one of the non-cluster index type. But the thing is like we need to use include column. But this also depends upon the query. It does not always change the query definition to fetch the data. So this is the indexes, cluster index and non-cluster index. In the non-cluster index, we have a called like a covering index. If you use include column keyword, that called like a covering index. Okay, I hope you understand the today classes. I thought I will cover more, but we already taken 3 hours. Tomorrow we can go for key topics. If the time, if the everything is good, we'll go for always energy. If not, I can cover important topics called like a the query is running very slow. Okay, that time we can cover again index concepts, and we can cover again blockings, and we can go for CPU like a CPU 100%, memory 100%, and running queries are running very slow, storages are running very slow. Those scenarios we can check it. Otherwise, if my system is ready, then we can go for always energy. If not, we can go for these topics. And one more thing is like next week onwards, like most of the people are doing night shift, right? So instead of connecting 7 o'clock, what we can do, we can connect a morning 10 to 12 o'clock, so that we'll get a more time. We can cover more topics, or maybe we can go for clarification of the doubts. Okay, uh, we'll see. But next week we can connect from 10 to 12, and each day I can take 2 hours. Okay, I'm stopping the recording. We'll see tomorrow. Hopefully, we can cover always energy. If not, we'll go for other topics. but don't compared to other technologies, Postgres and Oracle, though don't have they have also this much of topics, but SQL is like we have a more uh, things. Okay, but every database will have more advanced topics that we need to cover. Okay, let me stop the recording. We can see tomorrow. I will upload after some time and I will share the recordings accordingly. Thank you.